What is up, Fight fans? Here to do a quick breakdown and recap of Holm versus Aldana. So let's get right into it. Early on, Holly landed several four punch combinations that I noticed while I was taking notes during the fight. And she usually ended her four punch combinations with power kicks to Aldana's weak side. And Holm was fighting in southpaw, so she had that the Aldana's weak side to closer to her, so it was just more of an advantage to attack her body. Holm was circling away from her Irene's power hand, the power left hook, the entire fight. It kind of looked like she was running, but really she was just trying to circle away from it. And Aldana's other big weapon is that straight right, and she just basically was like keeping her hand up to block the straight right, but just to circle away from the power left hook. So that was really smart of her. And Jackson Wink, they're just really good at making a good game plan to keep their fighters safe. Um, but yeah, just a lot of circling. And that's the other thing I want to touch on is a lot of people say that like John Jones is running from his opponents, and he's a part of Jackson Wink too, like in his fights against Thiago and Dominic Reyes. But when he was circling in those fights, doing the same thing, he's just employing the same method as Holly was. He's just staying away from his opponent's power right. Usually, Thiago and Dominic, both one has a Dominic has a power left and Thiago has a power right. And John Jones is he's just circling, just trying to stay away from that. So people, when he's in these fights, people always say John's running or Holly may be running, but no, they're just trying to stay away from their power hands, and these people just game plan, they just and that's it. So on back to Holly. Holly was winning a lot in the clinch positions. In round two and 212 of round two, she was in full mount, landing lots of shots and lots of ground and pound. This big hammer fence were coming from her during the fight, and these are all notes I was taking during the fight, so it, it may not sound too clear, but this is what I was gathering, and I may have had a few beers, so just bear with me here. But I just noticed too, Holly just has really good footwork. She's really quick. Um, she ended up outstriking Aldana by 40 already late in the second round. Uh, Holm also landed 5 takedowns in the fight, so she basically landed a takedown per round. Um, just Holm was just in complete control. She was in complete domination with the strikes and the takedowns. She was just mixing it up really well. It was just an overall just impressive performance by her. Um, and it was just a beautiful clinic, and it was like a redemption in my mind for her to like get back to the title, like so she can get back to fighting Nunez again for the title. Um, yeah, so final strikes for Holm and Aldana was 301 to 154 in favor of Holm, and she had an accuracy of 51%, according to UFC stats. So on to the next fight, the co-main, Germain versus Pena. Basically to finish the fight, Jermaine just squeezes in a deep, nasty guillotine, man. She put her to sleep. Like she was literally limp. Like I was like she was out there taking a nap. Just just did not, it didn't look good. Um, the first round, Jermaine was landing a lot of good hard rights. I noticed her box. She's a kickboxer, so her boxing is gonna be crisp. It's gonna be all the way. And I knew Pena was gonna shoot at some point because Pena, I watched her on The Ultimate Fighter back in I don't know what year that was. It was a few years back, but Pena definitely is. She likes to mix up her approach. She likes to throw hands and she likes to shoot takedowns. But Jermaine was like, I got something for that takedown. It's like as soon as she shot, she was throwing in that guillotine every time. So I don't think I've ever seen a guillotine that deep. Like she like had it just like just it was just up under there. So congrats to her. I think that Jermaine versus Holly should be the next fight to see who fights Nunez next. And also, if I look like I'm not moving a lot, it's because I hurt my neck this weekend, just like lifting weights. So, and if I keep seeing me rubbing it, it's just like really sore. So sorry about that, you guys. Next fight was Dusko versus Townsend. Man, Dusko, I saw him on the Contender Series, I believe. Yeah, and the dude looked really good. He's got good head movement or head control in the clinch. But to start the fight, he landed several. He's just like kind of like Holly Holm. He landed several 4 punch combinations, man. I was like, this dude's got some hands. He often set up his combination with that left as a decoy, and he would come behind with that big looping overhand right. I kind of want. I mean, I'm not like I said, I'm not an MMA trainer. I'm not a anything. Just a fan. I did, but that left hand, man, it was so kind of like almost telegraphed, and it was kind of wild looking. It wasn't very crisp, like I've seen some fighters throw these. Not sorry, left hand, but these big overhand rights. They just his looks a little wild. Like I think he just needs to kind of just get it a little bit crisper. No offense or anything, no disrespect. Just get it a little bit more crisper. So I think more seasoned fighters will see that coming because it was like, man, it was like a windmill. Like literally, I was just like, dude, not seeing that coming. But anyway, um, but so he would set up the left as a decoy, that left jab as a decoy to that big overhand right. But he later set up that decoy jab for a takedown, and it was actually his first takedown in his career after 10 fights. And the dude is a Brazilian jiu-jitsu black belt, so it was interesting. It was good to see him finally work that into his arsenal, just because he's known as a striker. But it was good to see he's got some ground game. He's got some good ground and pound. Um, so after that, once he got him to the ground, he was passing to half guard to full mount, pretty much the entire later rounds. And he, like I said, he has good head movement for a striker in middleweight. He was slipping punches of Townsend's, just like making it look really easy. And once he would slip a punch, he would just counter strike back and just land, like I said, 4 or 5 of his own. It was just impressive, man, to see a guy that young, already that talented with the striking abilities that he has. Um, so he finished the fight, like I said, passing from half guard to full guard, and then he ended up getting a full mount, and he just pretty much ground and pound him until the fight's ends. And the ref just saw enough, man, and that was pretty much it on that fight. But he's got a good future. He also said he wants to stay undefeated. I was like, man, he sounds like Izzy or something, or like formerly Paulo Costa. I do think he's a former title contender. I want to see him versus some top 10 talent next, maybe, or maybe top 15 talent next. But there's a lot of options for him in the middleweight division. I mean, you could be giving Brunson because they gave him Shabazian to Brunson. You could give him Brunson. You could give him man, so many people in the middleweight in that lower tier. But I'm just thinking Brunson because he's just that guy who's right there on the cusp of like top 5 or top 10. But he's like, that's what I would say, Brunson. That's what I'll just stick with that. Next fight was Descatro versus Felipe. What a kind of weird fight. Felipe surprised me, and I didn't pick. Also, this is the other thing. I went 3-4 on my picks, so this is the one I did not get right. So I would have been 4-0 had it not been for this one. So Descatro and Felipe, like I said, weird fight. Felipe was very more. He was very much more the more. He had more output. He was just throwing hands, man. He overall he had more. He landed more strikes. He went to the body and the head. He didn't discriminate. He and towards the end of the fight they were getting tired. So the both of them were just kind of clinching a lot in the fence, but they kept either one, whoever was dominating the clinch position, kept putting their hands in the fence. So the ref was just breaking them apart to make them stand again. So when they were standing, it looked like Felipe was getting the best of each other during those moments. So ended up being a unanimous decision for Felipe. But overall, it's not a really super exciting fight, but Felipe did enough to get the win. Like I said, I struck him. Last but not least, my favorite fight, not my favorite fight, but like the fight I was looking forward to because I like Carlos Condit a lot. Was Carlos Condit versus Court McGee. Uh, Carlos started off with lots of solid leg kicks. I know he started off in southpaw. It's probably to confuse his opponent because I don't think I've ever seen him fight in southpaw. But like I said, heavy start. Condit then broke his nose to end the first round, and he dazed him. Like his eyes went to the back of his head, and he was just like, I thought that was the beginning of the end. Kind of reminded me of the Izzy versus Whitaker fight where he pretty much knocked out Robert at the end of the first round, and where his eyes rolls back, and then they have to pick him up, pretty much peel him off the side of off the mat and get him back to his seat. But the same thing happened. McGee was just basically kind of out of it at the end of that first round, and Condit, the rest of the fight was just a stand-up battle, and Condit pretty much he edged him out, man. It was a good fight towards the because McGee's no punk, man. He was fighting back, and it was just they kind of just alternated. I think that second round McGee I thought won, and then that third round Condit did enough to win, but it ended up being Condit outlands McGee 88-84. So it was a close fight, but Condit definitely won that first round. That second round could have went either way, but I think Condit did enough to edge out that third round. And yeah, so it was a good fight. It was pretty competitive, but yeah, overall good card, man. Way better than I expected. I would say a sleeper fight was the one that surprised me the most was the Dusko Townsend fight. He's just got a lot of upside, a lot of he's got a big future, bright future. So yeah, man. That's my Monday update. I'll probably do an update maybe later if there's some breaking news or anything. But I gotta get to work, man. Put some ice on my neck and just start off the week, man. So y'all have a good day, and we'll talk to you later.